correct yourself and remove practice barriers like using the computer, internet, the television, etc. And to practice these new skills at least for 20 hours. Limitation, time is not the only limitation. I would like to ask Basil, can you come, please? This is not program, this is completely improvisation. Can you please read this word in English? Real. Real. Okay. If you say real, thank you very much. No, stay here, stay here. If you say real in English, it doesn't mean anything in Portuguese. And I remember when I came to Portugal the first time, I decided to translate the European diploma examination because cultural differences between people are very important. This is one of the barriers. And we have filters. When we speak languages, we have a filter. We cannot say the word real, for instance, real. If I say it in Spanish, it will be real, and real in English. But this is a coin in Brazil. Okay? So, please read this word, A and ouch. Okay? Now, read the first one without the Y. A. Okay, and the second one without the ch. O. 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 Okay. You remember A and O. Yeah. Tell it together. A. O. Real. 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 Okay, this is the way probably in Brazil call this coin. So we have to, thank you very much. We have to get rid of the filter we have for the different languages, and that's what we did when, for education, we decided to translate the European diploma to 12 languages. Feedback is very important in education, formal feedback and informal feedback, and sometimes we don't get it at all. It's not the same thing, trainees in difficulty compared with difficult trainees. These can be common circumstantial problems for trainees. They have problems at home, problems at work, lack of support from the team, changes in the team dynamics, sickness within the family, etc., etc. And there are some symptoms we can recognize in our hospitals, in our schools, in our hospitals. When, for instance, the disappearing act, people are not answering, disappearing between clinic and ward, low work rate, rigidity, poor tolerance, etc., etc. Bypass syndrome. Junior colleagues or nurses find ways to avoid seeking the doctor's opinion or help because they are having problems during education. These are things we are facing all the time. Now, back to the computers. Technology is taking more and more place in our daily education. I will give a little bit time to Victor and the others to take the photo. So probably the cloud will take place not only at the ESA but also in education in general terms, and the classroom will be the clouds. We will not have the privilege to come to Azores for a congress because people will transmit direct from Azores to the other places, etc. People are using more and more video games as part of education. For instance, this interesting story, a non-profit organization, they send boxes with games to an isolated village in Ethiopia without instructions. And they put in these boxes tablets. And then they thought that people, the children will play with the boxes. But instead, within 4 minutes, the children at these villages in Ethiopia open the boxes, learn how to turn on the tablets, and within a few months, they had learned the ABCs and were singing the alphabet in English and using the tablets themselves, and they discovered how to do it. So I think the most important advantage of technology, and we know if the schools are prison and the classical schools will disappear in the future, but technology offers us the possibility to have it the availability for education all the time. We don't need to come to the bank, because usually when the bank is open, we cannot come. When the bank is closed, and we can come, so this is impossible. So we are going to paperless education. The computer will take place of the books, of papers, and people will not take notes of anything, because everything is becoming less. Our phones are wireless, our cooking is fireless, the cars are keyless, the foods are fatless, and the tires are tubeless, etc. It says here that the leaders are shameless, but this is another story. What is this? Who knows what is this? This is the prototype of the kilogram. This is in Sèvres in France, and this is the standard. So we at the ESA, we decided that we create together with the European Academy in these times for harmonization, the European diploma, but education is harmonization. Harmonization in order to connect the different places and to try to get the same level in spite of the local limitations. So if knowledge is today anarchic at the internet, we want to create operational knowledge, knowledge that we can use every day, for instance, e-learning, grants, and other educational activities. We decided to create a syllabus, a standardized syllabus for all countries in Europe. We have created a basic science course during Euro-Anesthesia Congress, and we recommend very much workplace-based assessment, observing doctors in real-life situations. We will talk a little bit about the European diploma. The examinations committee is doing a very, very good job, and we have more and more candidates every year. But if in the 90s we have mainly two types of coffee, black coffee and coffee with cream and or sugar, now today when you say coffee, you are not telling anything, because you have to say if you want cappuccino or latte or espresso single or double or cafe au lait, americano, etc. So we want to create more and more products in order to complain to give a supply. to what people want, and we created many products, byproducts of the European diploma. One of them is the online assessment and the training assessment. You are using it a lot, the part 1 and the part 2 examination. So mark your calendars in April 8, 2016. We will have the online assessment, which is a computer-based assessment in every hospital in Europe. 40 euros, this is the fee for the online assessment. So will the technology kill our exams? For instance, we know that we have a security problem for the exams. We don't want people to cheat during examinations. This is an examination in China for military people. And there are many ways to cheat. You can do it in different ways. This is a topic for a separate lecture, probably. We are considering the possibility to use these jammers in order to distort our main enemy, which is the cellular phone. So life is not so easy today. There are many applications in our daily life. And we use, for writing the question for the European exam, we use an electronic platform. We have these courses of the CEA, and Dr. Basil Adriano will tell us in a minute about the trainee exchange program we have in order to send people to centers of excellence across Europe. So maybe this is the future of education. Thank you very much. Basil, please.
Hear me there in the back? Muito obrigado for inviting me here. Before continuing with the subject of education and the trainee exchange program, I have to make a little confession. Through all my connections and quite a lot of bribery, I succeeded to get some images from one of the previous Tertulias. And that was not a session with out-of-theater experience. Now, you can just see here that you could potentially recognize Dr. Vitor and Dr. Raul, Dr. Rui here. And the original rumor was that Dr. Rosario was also involved there, but that rumor was disbanded very quickly because there is no little dog in the picture. So my name is Basil Adriano, and I have the absolute honor to be the chair of the Trainee Exchange Committee, which is a unique program in the world, helping trainees from different countries to get a fellowship and to enhance their skills by working for a period of up to 3 months in a center of excellence in Europe. I think that at the end of this presentation, you realize that the committee that I chair is not just another committee who cares, but another committee who cares. So which is our main task? Is the selection of the best fellows and centers in Europe. The committee is structured with the chairman and 3 members and a very, very able administrator, selecting applicants for the fellowship and selecting centers of excellence as hosts, and they make here an open invitation to very good centers in Portugal to apply in becoming host centers for our program. Please, I'm aware that exist several of them which are at that level in which they could apply successfully for becoming host centers. So what about the fellowship? Each year we had about 30 applicants, and I had some criticism actually from your compatriot, Dr. Antonio Carlos Costa, trying to recognize what is the factor that we keep having no more than 30 applicants per year. Well, I'm happy to say that from yesterday, for next year, we have 58 applicants for next year fellowship. And since this year, we happy to say that also we've increased the number of fellowships from 8 to 10. So now 10 trainees every year can achieve this, I would say, quite impressive grant. The trainee can choose up to 3 potential centers for this fellowship, has an initial visit, and the fellowship completely covered with a grant of up to 8,000 euros. So what is the application form which exists on our ESA website? And it's not as simple as the IKEA application form. There are the personal details, referred to centers, their position of education. In particular, if it's a teaching position, is considered very positive. Their personal statement and preferences, and we introduce these new factors of general against specialized training, and we added an important note in relation to very complex registration issues, in particular in UK. So what are the selection criteria for our fellows? And here we have to put together the original image of the fellow, of himself, and the image that we actually consider that is more appropriate. What are the benefits of his or her additional training, their present position, their statements, their references, the languages that the fellow speaks, their research and publications, and the potential existence of an extra accolade of having part 1 or both parts of the European diploma. And again, the potential of choosing between a general and a specialized training. Other factors that we take in consideration, and I'm not talking only about the natural selection, about potential exotic destinations or other potential issues. If this is an ESA member, we sort of decided that we should limit the age to less than 40 and also to have maximum 2 candidates per country. We promote the position of a senior trainee or a young specialist. The application has to be submitted until last week, 15th of September, and the trainee will have to publish the report in the ESA News of the fellowship. Now, generally, these negotiations go very well. There is practically no problem, and all the marriage, if you want, between the fellow and the host center is very smooth. But every now and again, this situation is not so straightforward, as you could see between the lines in this slide. Now, here we have a little diagram of the success of fellows in the last 6 years, and I'm happy to say that Portugal is sharing position number 3, together with Croatia and Greece, having 4 fellows that were successful in this particular grant. What about the host centers? We have 54 centers registered from 16 different countries. However, due to different mechanisms and changes of eligibility, etc., we have roughly about 30 active centers only. That's one of the reasons I invited you to consider seriously to apply for your Center of Excellence. And at the moment, we have as a reward a free future ESA Congress fee and a lump sum of travel for the host center, which is accommodating one of our fellows. Which are these hosts? You can see here a list from Europe. The active ones are the ones in red. The dormant ones are the ones who are in dark. Very hot centers, if I may say so, are the ones from the United Kingdom and the ones from Holland, for whatever reason. Here is another diagram of the successful centers. You can see Papworth in Cambridge, the most wanted hospital, practically every year has a fellow. The same Birmingham and the Academic Center in Amsterdam. As the same with the host centers, most United Kingdom, almost more than 40%, and then the Netherlands, France, Italy, and the rest. I would like to see Portugal on my next slide, next time I'm presenting this. So what is the center application? Has to present their clinical interest, their paraclinical interest, obviously their sort of internal arrangement with the preferred duration and time of the year, the languages that they are spoken in that center, their legal requirements, which are quite important in UK, for instance, and especially which is the profile in the areas of excellence of that particular center, backed up by their relevant publications. So the selection criteria of host centers are not in relation only to the view from the flat of the fellow who just got this grant, but also in relation to, ideally, the standards of teaching and training, the expected value of experience for the fellow, the volume of the activity of that center, and the specific, innovative, and advanced features. Just a word of warning about the GMC registration. It's a very complex process. There are more than 12 web pages to be completed. And in particular, the three avenues to be taken into consideration is the original nationality, the primary qualification, and the existence or not of an internship in the training university of that particular doctor. And more than that, from last year, there has to be a language exam of English language proficiency. How to make the most of your training abroad, and that's a sort of general advice for our residents who will contemplate such an avenue. And I divided this in hospital, training, cultural, and personal factors. From the hospital factors point of view, it's very important to do your homework, to know the centers of excellence in Europe with their relevant publications, and back up your request with a benefit for your own mother department. From the training point of view, obviously it's very important to know the facilities and reputation of the host center, their dedication to teaching and training, the existence of local courses and local training schedule, the languages that are spoken, and the potential registration for hands-on as opposed to observership, like sometimes happening in the UK. What about cultural factors? It's important to decide which is your preferred country city, what is the social life that you have to immerse yourself for up to 3 months, issues in relation to family, religion, etc., and the making new friends in the new environment. And from the personal factors point of view, it's important to clarify your targets, have this well-arranged preliminary visit, to be able to adapt to the new schedule, and to be able to open yourself to try new things, and more than anything else, to enjoy this new experience, which is a once-a-lifetime opportunity. So here is an example of the fellows from this year, and I'm delighted to say that one of the Portuguese trainees got this fellowship. Dr. Ferreira will go this year to Cork in Ireland. In conclusions, the Trainee Exchange Program is a very successful initiative of the ESA. It's addressed to the young ESA members, being a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, targeting centers of excellence, promoting centers of excellence in Europe, which I have to openly thank for their help that they provide for our program. And I have again to say thank you for my colleagues in the Trainee Exchange Program, past and present. Thank you. I have some questions, open questions, if our colleagues could bring them up in relation to this Training Exchange Program, and then we'll continue together with Dr. Golding in relation to the details of the European diploma. So the first question was, should trainees be involved in service of that particular department, or should they have their training completely protected and being solely acting as trainees without any service responsibilities? see that even the young generation is interested to be directly participant to the well-being and the well-oiled work of the department, doing also service. We still have to wait? Yeah, okay. The second question. Was in relation to the trainee exchange program, should be addressed only to trainees, to young specialists, or to both. And there is quite a sort of vibe, if you want, even inside the ESA, aiming for this program to be addressed only to trainees. You can see here that 75% of our audience will support young specialists also. And the last question is in relation to which is the crucial criteria to choose when you choose a fellowship abroad. Country, language, specific skills, general improvement in your practice, earning potential, or potential for emigration. And again, this is backing up our theory in relation to some discussions that we had inside the European society, is that people want to be in charge of choosing specific skills to learn in these centers of excellence. It's not about a generalized training as much as people want to target that particular center because that particular center is offering this particular skill that they would like to accomplish. Thank you. Right, now moving to the next topic is the European diploma per se. European diploma is probably the biggest success, certainly the biggest success of the European society, and it's growing at an exponential rate. As you could see, people are so willing to take our exam that they go to this type of extent, and what you can't see in this picture is that Dr. Micheletsky, Dr. Golding and myself, we are hiding for our life inside of those windows, trying to escape the pressure of the masses who want to pass this exam. So, coming to the European diploma, I'm delighted to take you through the first part of the European diploma, and then Dr. Golding will continue with the part 2 and the general conclusions. As you can see here, I do quite a bit of work for the ESA, so I have a bit of a more holistic impression about how our society is running and how this exam is actually driving forward the successes of the ESA. Originally this was supposed to be the first slide, so I have to start by thanking very much the organizer, in particular the SPA and Dr. Vitor Pino Oliveira for inviting me here. And then obviously Dr. Goldie, our chairman and president-elect, and Dr. Barbinsky, my good old friend and colleague, who sort of helped me with this presentation. Over the years, European diploma evolved from a project of the old European Academy of Anesthesia, and then became ESA, and now the full taking into consideration the important part of the intensive care, European Diploma of Anesthesia and Intensive Care, and subtle and fine details of the exam and of the organizing and different details in relation to how we structure this exam could be found in this paper that I had the pleasure to write with Dr. Goldie about 2 years ago, which is freely available under my home, if I may say, journal, the journal from Cluj, in Romania, the Romanian Journal of Anesthesia and Intensive Care. These are the centers of this year. Part 1 was set up in 53 centers. And I'm delighted to see Lisbon and Porto in this long list of centers. It's growing every year with about 3, 4, 5 centers per year. When you applaud the success of the Part 1 of European diploma, you have to consider that many of these candidates would be successful. So somebody will have to vie and examine them for Part 2, which will create quite a bit of stretch in our organization. We run Part 1 in 12 languages, and the explanations, the answers, the sample answer sheets, and so are given in all these languages. And again, I'm very delighted to see Portuguese on this list. The criteria is very simple to enter Part 1. You just have to have a primary medical qualification. The date is typically end of September, beginning of October. This year was just last weekend when I had the pleasure to invigilate and inspect the center in Cairo. And the current format is, as you probably all know, with 2 MCQ papers, the part A being the basic sciences, the second part being the clinical anesthesia, 2 hours allowed per paper, and 60 STEM questions with 5 possible answers per paper. So each question contains a STEM question, and there are 5 true or false statements. So this is how the exam should look, but sometimes we can have surprises like this, or even like this, as you saw it before. We changed the tactics some years ago. As a result of non-stressing our juniors, there is a tendency of relaxing the atmosphere more and more, as you could see on this little bit of the slide. We will end by just thanking the juniors by entering the exam hall. And as early as 1998, my colleagues Andy McIndoe and Ed Hammond published a paper comparing, if you want, the British style of exam at that time with negative marking with the American results where they didn't have negative markings, and they proved the existence of what it was called a good guesser or a bad guesser reason for which we followed the American pattern, if you want, and we abandoned the negative marking in 2008. So, which is the actual structure of the Part 1 exam? You could see here the succession of the questions and the number of these questions and the actual chapters that they're targeting these particular areas of anesthesia. This is about basic sciences, and this is the same about clinical sciences. You can see here 15 questions of general anesthesia, 5 of regional, 15 of specialized anesthesia, 7 of emergency medicine, 10 of intensive care in internal medicine. So I might get a telegraph for allowing you to enter these details. This is the answer sheet. Now, not existing any more negative marking, is very important that every question should be answered. I think it's very simple, this. And the translation of the answers from the question paper to this particular sheet has to be done very carefully because obviously it's corrected by a computer. The pass mark of each year is dependent on the quality of that particular paper, of our collection of questions, and obviously of the quality of those candidates for that particular year. So, 2 words about the in-training assessment, held in the same day with the same questions like Part 1, the fee being reduced to €100. It's more or less for the trainees to show the masters how it would be to take the real exam next time. And the online assessment, similar questions, not identical, only €40 now, again only once a year, as they have already alluded, would be 8th of April, and we know that it would be in the afternoon. And just to put in perspective how this exam is growing, we had 588 candidates in 2015 in 58 centers in 20 countries, running 9 languages. And I'm quite happy to see Porto and Braga on this list. And it's a very good instrument of formative assessment. The future could be a step further from online assessment, home online assessment, the new HOLA, and we are working on different patterns how we could develop this. There are new trends though, as you could see with our trainees, as there was alluded, with school being a prison, some people think very strongly like this, or even better, like this. How to prepare for the part one? Obviously, training is very important, as many MCQs, practice the true-false format, try to complete the mock papers in the allocated time, and decide if you are a good guesser. So you're not losing time hanging around of the second guess, etc. Really importantly to read the questions, because there are always keywords that would help you decide what direction to go. It's important not to spend too long on a particular question, move on and return if you have some extra time at the end, and generally trust your instincts, because you have to have a hunch in what direction that question might go. Typically longer, more specific answers are likely to be correct. Very precise figures with lots of decimals are unlikely to be correct. It is important to leave time only to check glaring errors. It's important to see little words like always, never, etc. would give you a clue in relation to that particular question. And remember, your guess typically is the correct one, the first guess. So don't try to think, overthink, and double guess yourself. It's important to mark first the answers on the question booklet without wasting time on problematic questions. So again, not having negative marking is important to answer all the questions. And then to transfer carefully on the red sheet that I showed you before. So more advice you can find on our website. Okay? As I mentioned here, this is translated in many languages, including Portuguese. And I want to say this because I had the pleasure to participate to the Hospital Visiting and Accreditation Symposium in Berlin at the ESA Congress this year. And I have to say that in my personal opinion, the Portuguese training in relation to accommodating the European diploma is the ideal example which should be presented to all the countries, in such that all the first year take the residents take the HOLA. All the second year take the in-training assessment. All trainees take the compulsory part one, now embedded if you want in the national exam, and most of these trainees will take even the part two. As a result of that, Portugal had more than 25 abstracts of the ESA last year, has one trainee representative in the council, and has now one member of the TEP committee and of the examination committee, together with many other examiners for the European diploma. So well done, excellent. I'm ending here, inviting all the participants to part one to take as good marks to be able to get the John Zora Prize, the prize given in the honor of the developer of the European exam, John Stanley Mornington Zora, our princess. Thank you.
Now the last 10 minutes. Let's go to the questions.
Please.
Questions, please? Let us see your answers for this very, very nice question. Do you believe in good luck or bad luck in exams? Strongly disagree, disagree, undecided, agree, or strongly agree. Good or bad luck in exams exists. What do you think? 100% agree. 66. So most, I think 75% now, 80%. 80% of scientists, anesthesiologists believe in bad luck and good luck in exams. Next question, please. And if you look, what were the answers from the examiners of the European exam? They will, most of them agreed that there is bad and good luck in exams. What is your opinion regarding examiners? Tough examiners or very flexible, light examiners? Hawks and doves. In your opinion, what is the usual percentage of extremely difficult examiners, extreme doves, or extreme hawks? What is your opinion? So most of you think that it's around 5%. And according to the literature, what is the definition, first of all, of an extreme difficult examiner or very extreme flexible examiner? It's 3 standard deviations. 3 standard deviations from all examiners. So this is only 0.003%. Even if the examiners didn't know that, it's very rare that there are very extreme examiners. Who is, in your opinion, more tough, more hard examiner? Women or female or male examiners? Next, let's see your answers. Female, 92% believe that the woman police is very tough compared with a male policeman. The reality is a little bit different. The examiners themselves believe that most of them believe that they are equal, and they are actually equal if you compare. And in your opinion, who is more hard, more difficult, more tough, more hawkish? New examiners, veteran examiners, or equal? Let's see your answers. This is very interesting. Usually the new examiners, maybe because they want to demonstrate that they are very intelligent, they deserve to be examiners, probably they are much more tough compared with the veteran examiners, and the examiners themselves believe that. So, a couple of tips how to go to an oral examination. Is anybody here registered for the oral exam next year for the European diploma? Any of you is going to the European diploma? Please raise your hands. Who has already passed the European diploma here? 2, 3. The orals. And who already passed? 4, 5. Who already passed the part 1 examination? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So, do you have oral exams? Do you have oral exams in Portugal? Is it used? This is used. So, this is not related only to the European diploma. This is in general when you go to an interview, for instance, or oral examination. This is an opportunity to demonstrate your knowledge. And this is a science how to express yourself for the examination. Dress appropriately. This is very important. Sit up straight, smile, and try to look confident. Practice a pause when you speak before you start answering your answer, and speak slowly and clearly, and try to be precise when you speak. Practice all the time oral presentations in your department, in your daily practice, etc. You have guided questions how to prepare for the European exam, but also for oral exams. All the candidates will answer to the same question because it's a standardized examinations. You have guided questions. Previous experience is very helpful, and don't try to be perfectionist when you are in an oral exam. Start the exam in a systematic way and try to look professional. Arrive early at the location and try to be focused all the time in the exam. Answer question more often with yes than with no. Don't use all the time the word no, I don't know, I don't remember, etc. Try to use the word yes. Memorizing, neither the candidate nor the examiner can memorize too much details. They cannot be experts in everything. A couple of words about the marking system. We have a 2+ for the exceptionally good candidate. 2 is pass, 1 is a narrow fail, and 1 is a bad fail. So 87% of the variance between the candidates is because of the candidates. Only 12% because of the examiners, as we said before, and only 1% regarding the difference between the different stations. Listen carefully to the question. Don't interrupt the examiner, and try to be structured. What does it mean? History, examination of the patient, and investigations. Try to be all the time structured. For instance, if you have to describe an ECG, and don't start with the diagnosis. Don't say this is a Wolf Parkinson White. No. Don't jump to the diagnosis. Analyze systematically the rhythm, the axis, and other properties. The same for the X-ray. Focus on general things. Is this an anterior-posterior or a posterior-anterior? Try to focus on the general things and keep on talking all the time reasonably. If you think that there are many possible answers, you can say, but the technique I am most familiar is, or in my hospital, we usually do this and this, because this is a European exam and we respect the differences between the different people. And if you make a mistake, ask the examiner if you can rephrase your answer, because what is required is knowledge, comprehension, implementation, organization, and especially common sense. So say first the basic and the essential. Conclusion. We talked a little bit about the marking system, how to analyze the questions in a systematic way, and the different techniques. Thank you very much.
very much, Steve. Do you have any questions for Professor Steve or Dr. Basil?
The question of the next exam, it depends how much do you pay. Thank you very much, thank you. You are very, very, very kind.
Thank you, Professor. Thank you, Professor. And há bocado, eu esqueci-me de agradecer também o enorme contributo dos nossos parceiros e sponsors, nomeadamente na aplicação e não só. Obrigada, porque sem vocês, estes eventos que a Sociedade organiza também não seriam possíveis. Portanto, last but not least, obrigada. Vamos passar aqui agora ao nosso concerto, certo? Um momento.
Ia pedir à Célia que nos apresentasse a banda e ia pedir uma grande salva de aplausos para a Célia, porque ela realmente foi extraordinária na organização de tudo isto, em todo o livro. E também agradecer aos nossos este ano temos 2 caloiros a organizar o trabalho connosco, que é o Bernardo Matias e o Francisco, ou seja, então o Francisco está lá ao fundo, também foram excelentes neste trabalho todo. E a pedir então à Célia que apresentasse aqui a banda enquanto nós tiramos aqui as coisas.
Ok. Em primeiro lugar, eu quero agradecer esse convite que me foi feito para fazer aqui as estruturas este ano. Foi de facto um desafio e fico com todo o gosto e foi um enorme prazer. Obrigada a todos que me ajudaram aqui neste trajeto tão difícil. Mais valeu. Então é assim, esta parte é a parte mais engraçada, mais lúdica. Eu tenho o prazer de apresentar um colega nosso que é cirurgião aqui no hospital do Viorel, para quem eu peço o nome, e além de ser cirurgião e nos dá música no bloco operatório, também nos dá música, às vezes, em outras situações. E, de facto, ele é um excelente violinista e, muito recentemente, formou uma banda, que é chamada Dr. V and His Band, ok? E ele vai nos animar aqui à noite, se vocês quiserem dançar, estar aqui um bocadinho conosco, a aproveitar aqui esta sala que é tão bonita. Nós agradecemos a vossa presença. And for our guests, there, he's a surgeon, he's our surgeon in the hospital. He's DRL, and the room is and he's our surgeon. And he gives us music in the OR, and not only in the OR, but here. And he has a band, he's a new one band, Dr. V and his friends, okay? So he's going to play for us, and I hope I like to enjoy it very much, okay? Thank you very much.
Muito boa noite. Eu vou tentar encurtar o máximo o meu discurso e vou dizer que para esse clube ainda está entubado, vamos começar.
Não parei, eu podia deixar para troca.
I got you.